This is a PSA, folks, for when things go back to normal and we all start going back out to eat. Don't F with the people that handle your food. Let's get into it. Hey, folks, how you doing? Today I'd like to do a comedy review. I watched this movie on Saturday night with my wife, and I figured with everything that's going on, I know we're all watching a lot of movies and stuff on streaming, but I figured let's do a little levity today and do a comedy. I really like this comedy, and the comedy I'm talking about is Waiting. This movie came out in 2005. It's rated R. It's an hour and 34 minutes. And upon release, it had a budget of $3 million, so not a big budget. It made 16.1 in the U.S. and 18.6 worldwide. I just have a feeling I feel like this went on to become a big cult classic. At least in my circle of friends, we quote this film quite a bit, some of it, and it was written and directed by Rob McKittrick. Rob McKittrick got the idea for this when he was working as a waiter in Florida. And he went on to write the sequel. There is a sequel to this film, although it's not as good. And he helped write the movie Tag that came out back in 2018 with Jeremy Renner and Ed Helms in the roles. And in this movie, it was most notable because it had Ryan Reynolds in the film. He plays Monty, one of the waiters at this restaurant, Shenanigans. Anna Faris plays Serena. She plays Monty's ex-girlfriend and also a waitress at Shenanigans. John Francis Daly as Mitch. He is a new hire at the restaurant who Monty is tasked with training for the day. It's a day in the life of kind of movie. And John Francis Daly co-wrote Horrible Bosses 1 and 2. And he co-wrote Spider-Man Homecoming. And he also co-wrote and co-directed National Lampoon's Vacation remake and an awesome movie, Game Night. If you've never seen that movie, Game Night's a really cool film. Check it out. Justin Long is in this film as Dean, one of Monty's friends who also works at Shenanigans. And actually his character, really, he's the star of the film. His character is probably the one that has the biggest arc towards the end of the film, but we'll get into that. David Kochner is Dan. He's the restaurant manager in the film. Luis Guzman as Rodimus. He is the head cook at this restaurant. And Chi McBride is Bishop. He's the dishwasher, but he's the one everybody goes to for advice. He seems to be like one of the smarter people that work here, and you wonder throughout the movie, why the hell is he even working here? But he's there. And Dane Cook was in this film as Floyd. He's one of the cooks in the back. This is right around the time Dane Cook was huge in comedy, when the base comedian's around. He's in this movie a little bit. He's not in it a whole lot. He has a couple lines, and he might only have maybe 5 minutes of screen time total. But he's in this film as well. And this movie basically starts off at a house party, and we see the whole staff of Shenanigans, as we'll get to know them as the movie goes forward, at this house party, and they're acting crazy, drinking, getting drunk, and yelling crazy shit. And then we cut to the next morning, and we see people starting to show up at Shenanigans, like Luis Guzman with his girlfriend, played by Jordan Ladd, and they're approaching the restaurant, and T-Dog and the other guy, who are the bus boys, they're there, acting all gangster. These two white guys acting all gangster. And we see David Kochner as Dan, and he's there trying to get everything ready. It shows like the opening of the restaurant in the morning. And this is where we're introduced to Dean, Justin Long's character. We see him waking up. He's hungover from the party the night before, and he's laying next to his girlfriend, played by Caitlin Doubleday. She's a waitress at this restaurant as well. And he goes and has breakfast with his mom, and they have like Dean. We learn that Dean is still in college. He's trying to finish up some classes. But he's been at this restaurant for like 3 years, I think, now. And his mom's kind of giving him, subtly, not so subtly really, but trying to tell him about this kid he used to go to school with who's graduated from college. And he's electrical engineer now, and he's making good money, and he's getting ready to buy a house. And you can see Dean just like, as she's talking about it, his enthusiasm is going way down. And he just kind of gets up and leaves and thanks, Mom, I really enjoy these meals together. And he walks out and he goes to work. And Monty's already there, and Dan comes up to him with Mitch and says, Monty, you mind showing Mitch around? He's going to tail you for today. When it gets really busy, we'll put him in the back. He can watch the training videos. And so Monty already starts busting Mitch's balls and giving him the tour of the restaurant. And then he takes him in the back and drops him off at Rodimus. So why don't you tell him about the game? Because Monty references it, said, well, when you're a little bored, we play this game around here, and he kind of explains a little bit, and Rodimus tells him like all the different positions, how to position his dick and his balls, and you have to do it and not call attention to yourself, somebody has to notice it, then you could ridicule them and kick them in the ass. And he goes through the whole list of all the positions. And remember, folks, if you try to do the Abraham Lincoln, you got to shave your pubic hair to look like Abraham Lincoln's beard, or it does not count. And this is where we meet our first unruly customer. And this is, I'm going to go a little PSA here, folks. If you go to a restaurant and you're a total a-hole to the waitress or waiter, now sometimes it might be just, maybe they're awful. You do get occasionally an awful waiter or waitress. But if you're unnecessarily dickish to somebody, your food's getting messed with. I can guarantee it. I've seen it firsthand at my time in the kitchen at restaurants. If you're an obnoxious prick, your food's getting messed with. So I would not eat it after I complain. There's a way to complain and be respectful where you have a good chance of your food being fine. And I know everybody likes to pretend, oh, people are so professional, they won't do anything. People are only going to take so much, and if you're unnecessarily prickish, your food's getting messed with. Like a lot of like this lady in this movie. And we're going to get that right now. Dean's girlfriend, played by Caitlin Doubleday, is waiting on his table. These women, they look like they're on break from an office building nearby or something. And the one woman's a bitch right out of the gate. Like Caitlin Doubleday's character hardly says a word, and she's already being a bitch. And she takes her order, and she already has another encounter with them. And when the food's ready, she asks Monty to please take it out. She goes, I can't deal with these people. Could you please take the food out? So Monty and Mitch take the food out, and the lady has a little bit of salad left in her bowl. And she goes, it looks like I still have salad left. I do not want this here right now. And Monty's like, well, I can take it in the back. And she's like, no, you're just going to put it under a heat lamp. It's going to dry out the steak. I'll take it now. She takes it. She goes, this steak is not the way I want it to cook. And she's putting her finger right on it, which is disgusting. And I asked for more gravy. And Monty's like, well, I'll take it back for you, and I'll have them make it right. She goes, yeah, you make sure they do it right this time. This will give me time to finish my salad. So he takes it to the back. And all the waitresses and waiters lines up, and Monty looks at Caitlin Doubleday's character and goes, okay, it's up to you. It's your customer. And all the chefs are going like this. Thumbs down means they're going to mess with the food. Thumbs up means they're going to leave it alone. She goes thumbs down. She goes, she's a bitch, do it. And they spit in the gravy, put pubic hairs on the steak as a garnish, and some other things. And Ryan Reynolds takes it back out, and the lady eats it, and they all get a laugh. And when they're walking away, Ryan Reynolds turns around and says to Mitch, she goes, I know we should feel guilty, but there's a cardinal rule. Don't fuck with the people that handle your food. And they go away. And they go walk to the back. And then the rest of the movie is just all these antics going on at this restaurant throughout the day. Basically, the movie takes place all in one day. And Dean gets called into Dan's office. And Dan offers him the assistant manager's job. And he goes, it's a lot more money. You got the power over people. You get to eat at a really discounted rate. And Dean's considering it. But he also hates his job. He's been there for 3 or 4 years, and he's kind of sick of it and sick of dealing with the customers. And look, I worked at a diner when I was growing up in another restaurant, but I was always in the back. I never had to deal with the customers. And dealing with people, I mean, I go to restaurants a lot before all this. So yeah, I know I always try to be nice to the waiter or waitress as much as, as long as they're doing their job, what am I going to complain about? You know what I mean? And so I never had to deal with people like this. But I've seen chefs flip out, because there's another thing I'll get into in a little bit. But as the movie goes forward, Dean's the last one to leave. Everybody's leaving, and they're going to have a house party like they always do after work. And it's almost closing time. The cooks have already cleaned the grill. Everything's shut down. Everything's put away. And a couple walk in right before they're about to close. And the guys at the back start flipping out. Like, no, because they're ready to leave. And I've had this happen to me. When I used to work at this diner, the cook, I was in the other part of the kitchen cleaning up my station. He had already cleaned the grill. It was about 10 minutes until the place closed. Nobody was in there. And the waitress had already wiped down the countertops out front, and this couple came in wanting food. And all of a sudden, the cook started flipping out. And I ran out. I'm like, what's going on? What's going on? He goes, these mother effers came in here looking for food. I already cleaned the goddamn grill. I just want to go home. Tell them to leave, he's screaming. And they had to hear him. They ended up leaving. I wouldn't have ordered food after that either. So don't be walking in restaurants right before they're getting ready to close and order food, because your food will be dicked with. I promise you that. Anyway, the kid that his mom was talking to him about in the morning is there. He's the late customer with his girlfriend or wife, they don't say. And he's kind of all right, but then he's also kind of a prick to Dean. And at the end, he leaves Dean a tip, and Dean looks at it. He goes, this is too much. He goes, I figure you need it more than I do. And right then, Dean realizes, I do not want this job and be stuck here at this restaurant. So he goes in and tells Dan that he doesn't want it. And Dan acts childish and says, "Oh, well, I'm going to write down I fired you. You didn't quit. I fired you. That's how it's going to go down." And Dean's like, "Whatever, I don't care." And he leaves. And at the end, we see they're having a house party, and Dean tells Monty how he left. And Monty, said, "Well, what are you going to do?" And he goes, "I don't know, but I'm just glad I don't have to go back there." And then this is finally where Mitch hasn't said much the whole movie, or people cut him off all the time. And he has his moment in the sun at the end. And that's the end of the movie, folks. It's pretty much a day in these guys and gals' lives working at this restaurant. And it's funny. Now, some of the jokes don't land. Rewatching on Saturday, I've seen this movie many times, but some of the jokes don't land. But there's enough good jokes that I laugh out loud enough that I still really like this film. Matter of fact, I would give this film a 7.5 out of 10. I do really like it, but there are some things that bring it down a little bit. There's some jokes that don't land. But overall, the acting's really good. Ryan Reynolds and Justin Long really play well off each other. You believe they're friends in real life the way they are with each other in this movie. Anna Faris is really good. Everybody's really good across the board in this film. They all get their moment to have a funny moment. And Anna Faris' character is the only character that really brings Monty down a peg or two. Like, she's the one that can bust his balls and bring him down because they have that connection. They used to date, so they know each other personally. So she can say things to Monty that other people really can't say. But it's a fun movie. It really is. I'd recommend if you've never seen it. 7.5 out of 10 for me for Waiting. Have you ever seen this film? If you have, leave a comment down below. Let me know what you think of this movie. If you like this video, hit the thumbs up. I'd greatly appreciate it. Hit the subscribe button too. You'll get a notification every time I upload a video. And I'll give a shout out to my friend Lenny Wanzer. He has his own YouTube channel, The Continuing Adventures of Lenny Wanzer. Go over and check him out. He has some great content over there, and Lenny's a great guy. Just trying to help my buddy out if I can. And that's it for me. You all take care of yourselves. Stay safe, and I'll be back soon with another review. Thanks.